everything that happened to me in 2025. The good, the bad, the confusing, and the funny mess that was my life in 2025. January. In January, I wasn't doing the whole new year, new me thing. I've never been a fan of that, and I've never been a big fan of New Year's resolutions. And it's not to say that I don't like setting goals. I do enjoy that, but I don't like this idea that the new year is somehow from one day to the next, somehow we're in this entirely new life. I just like to think of the new year as a continuation of who I'm already becoming. And at the start of 2025, I genuinely felt ready, y'all. Ready for alignment, ready for momentum, ready for my business and my content to take off. And I was also ready for a relationship. Spoiler alert, it was not a good idea. And at the time, it had been 2 years since my divorce. Let's talk about this boyfriend I got. I was optimistic because things felt good. The conversation was good. He had vision and he said really thoughtful things. And I've always valued that. You know, growing up, the men in my life, in my family, my community, when they said something, they meant it. Their words had weight. Their intentions came with follow through. And I never grew up questioning whether I could rely on people or on men. And let me tell you, when I got older, I was in for a rude awakening. Apparently, my experience was the exception, not the rule. So when I found myself in another relationship where things sounded good, that felt familiar to me. It felt comfortable to me because who doesn't do what they say they're gonna do? Why would you say it if you have no intention of doing it? I digress. I had this feeling in my stomach, but at this point I had not learned to trust that gut feeling. And what I didn't see yet is that I was repeating old patterns. I was once again dating potential, which you should never do. There were moments, yes, that should have registered. His relationship with his family was strained. He seemed like anxious all the time. He decided that he wanted to be in the army at the age of 33, which in itself wasn't a problem, but his situation was just erratic. And I kept asking myself, well, how can I just be supportive of what he's going through instead of asking myself, should I even be supportive in the first place? Because he had no problem siphoning my energy, my time, and my joy. Now, I wish I could say the relationship ended at the end of January. It did not. It was gonna take me a few months to learn what I know now. The lesson I'm taking from January is that there's a difference between learning something and knowing something. I learned a lot of stuff after my divorce, but just because I learned all those lessons didn't mean that I automatically knew how to apply them. It would be months before I realized how to do that.